Hello YouTube, Tim here. We've got a 48-inch long stave, which I'm later going to turn into another bow of bravery. This, though, is the remnant. So this is 48 inches. This is then a 6-foot section. We've got these Sias left over, and I wasn't satisfied with what happened to the last bow, and I noticed that the pipe was just so much shorter than the bow I got from Mehmet Galan, that I wanted to go ahead and try making one a little bit longer. I noticed that a 40-inch core, when I flatten it, becomes 39 inches. Add 2 inches for each side, 41, 43. So tops, my bow is 43 inches long, and I'm drawing it basically to 48 inches. That's why I'm getting something like 50 to 60 pound draws on these bows, and I can't say I'm unhappy with that. In general, that's what I'm aiming for. But I'd like to get it in a slightly different way. Right now, my objective would be to make a slightly longer bow, similar in length. Mehmet's bow is 44 inches nock to nock, about 46 inches tip to tip, ballpark. In this case, I want to do something a tiny bit longer even. I'd like to make it shorter than a normal U3 curve, but a teensy tiny bit longer than Mehmet's bow. So, in this case, I'm aiming for 46 inches for my final length. So, first of all, let's take off 2 inches off each side for the Sias, for the Bosch portion of the Sias. That would be 46 minus 4, 42 inches. Now, we're going to lose an inch. So, add an inch back. Let's just assume. I mean, it's going to be ballpark an inch that once we flatten it out that we're going to lose. So, let's say if we make a 43-inch core, that should leave us with 42 inches to give us a final 46-inch length bow. I think that'll be solid. I think that'll be a really nice solid length and has potential to be a really good performer. Let's measure it out, and I'll cut it real quick, and that'll be step one. So here is 43 inches. Measure it over there, measure it over there. Oh, this is easy. I love it when it lines up with letters, so that way it's right at the end of the O here, the 0. Notice that I'm not doing this on my tin foil, my heating. It's just not necessary if you're just doing a little job like this in a very local area. Plus, the cutting board smells very nice when it gets warm. I'm not gonna lie. Just don't do this on your nice countertop. I wouldn't recommend doing this on a laminate countertop. Just be sensible. Great. There it is. I really want the smaller tin snips, but these are the ones that I found really easily today. Wouldn't believe what I actually used them for. My dog had injured himself. He tore part of his nail off. Poor boy, bleeding all over, very sad. And the scissors are too fragile to cut through the little bit of nail that was holding it on. So we held him still, and I was able to cut the little bit of nail, the keratin that remained, get it all cleaned up, so now we can wrap him and bandage him. Poor guy. Anyway, that's really not relevant, but here we've got 2 bow staves, and I'm ready to get to work. While I'm here, let's just measure. I'll show you how I measure center. This is nothing special. 4 feet, 4 feet. So I measure the center. This is actually perfectly cut at 4 feet. So if I'm not certain, or if it's not exactly 4 feet, I'll measure from one side, then I'll measure from the other side, and then I'll mark in between them to mark true center. Then I can measure 2 inches on either side of that. Okay, so that's the handle. In this case, we're going to be doing 2.5 inches on either side. So there's 2.5 and 2.5. That's for the handle for the Brave bow. Now, let's center. Okay, this is 43 inches long. So, right now, for 43, 21.5, is that right? Just line that up. And then since I'm lazy, if you're lazy too, this is a good way to do it. Just line them all up. Put the marks together. And then follow the mark over 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. Not hard, huh? So, 2 bows. We're ready to go with a slightly longer bow here. Assuming I reinforce the handle very slightly, maybe I'll cut it in half and force a 1/2 inch PVC pipe inside, or a dowel. That would be even better. Something like that inside, just to stiffen up the handle portion. If I taper the limbs enough, we should be able to get a good amount of reflex, maybe even straining the PVC enough to make it a worthwhile project, because I'm really looking forward to a decent performance in a more authentic shape. This is just going to be a lot of fun to do. So thanks for watching, YouTube. Welcome back, YouTube. Here we are later. Not only did I flatten the 48-inch long stave from my other bow, but let's focus on this one. This is the core of what will become my next Ottoman Turkish-style bow. Again, it was a little bit longer than usual. Let's check its current length to see if it matches up with our expectations. Remember, we wanted the full length of the bow to be 46 inches knock to knock. Taking off the 4 inches for each sia, that left 42 inches, so we made the core 43 because we expected to lose about 1 inch in the flattening. So let's see. Let's measure along the flattest possible side to get the most... Yes, look at that. Okay. So here it is. There's 42 inches. There's the end of the bow. I'm going to call that pretty much darn spot on. I mean, we're within 1/8 of an inch of 42 inches. So, victory. We can call that victory. Great. Now, we have the sias. So, I like to use it like this. I like to put the belly of the bow flat and the back of the bow with the handle bump. Later I'm going to build that up, probably with a few strips of PVC and then epoxy around the side. I'm experimenting with different techniques to produce different handles, and I like generally using the epoxy, but it's not as durable as the PVC and glue method, so a combination of the two I think is going to really hit the mark. But for now, let's just try and insert one of these, because the method is the same. And I didn't show the flattening since I figured you can probably pretty well imagine how to do that. Now this, I'm going to turn the heat down to about there. Okay, let's just leave it there for reference so we know roughly how much and how far we're going to be heating it. And we're focusing, of course, on the areas that are going to stretch the most. Part of me almost wants it to round, so then we can pinch it off at our leisure. Maybe that's a technique I'll try in the future. So let's see. Something I also want to check is how warm the bottom side is. What I can do is I can go over to the sink and I'm just going to wet my hand and rub over the side that I don't want hot. The side that I do want hot. Okay. I'd say that's pretty darn good. But let's find out. Keep it as centered as possible and see how far you can force it in. See, it stops right there, so we need to heat it a little bit more, but we're getting there. Okay, that should be helpful, but it ain't. Because remember, we're trying to keep the belly of the bow as flat as possible. Just one quick blast along the sides. Flat as possible because that will aid us in retaining the string. We don't want it to be over... Oh, look at that. That's great. Okay, all the way up to the very end, which, let me get set. I'm going to change my position here and force it in like so. Perfect. Okay, now just holding it with my hand, let's make sure that it's not only tucked forward like so, but that looking down it, it's fairly centered, which it's currently not. It's a little bit off-centered, so we're going to twist it and check. Looks better. You can still correct it now because later it's going to be a lot harder. Yes, I see it at the base of this, the caisson here, it has a little bit of twist. So I'll have to heat that up and I'll fix that later. Not a problem. Not a huge problem. That's the basic element. You can control how much reflex and deflex you have, reflex in this case, by adding a little bit of extra reflex here at the caisson eye where the Sia ends. But otherwise, I'm really satisfied with this, including with the rounding here at the end. I'm going to be removing the Sia and filing everything down. I might even heat this side just to round it a little bit there as well. I want a nice round profile. I don't want look at that taper on the left side in particular. It's very elegant. I wanted a gradual transformation, so when I file it away, it'll look smooth, elegant, and what's not smooth, I'll fill in with epoxy. This is going to be, as far as I plan, my most elegant, graceful, beautiful Ottoman-style Turkish bow yet. I'm really looking forward to doing it justice, doing the style justice, and I appreciate you're watching. Thank you so much.